It's okay if you're a Muslim, a Christian, or a Jew.
It's okay if you're agnostic and you don't know what to do.
An all-inclusive celebration.
No contractual obligation.
Happy Chrismahanukwanzakah to you.
And pagans too.
Welcome to Simply Robotics, the podcast exploring the animation industry one episode at a time. I'm your host, Monique. You can find me on all social media platforms at Simply Robotics. When listening to the show, use the hashtag SimplyRoboticsPod to join in the conversation. Welcome back. We are now on day 3 of Chrismahanukwanzakah. Okay, I told you we're going to keep practicing that word. The syllables are messing me up. I have to take a quick breath and just go for it. I don't even have it phonetically typed out or nothing, So today we are talking about the 2011 animated CG movie Arthur Christmas. It was co-directed by Sarah Smith and Barry Cook. So this was interesting for me because I didn't know that it was co-directed by a woman, and I don't think I've ever heard of Sarah Smith. As I've been saying before, and as I will continue to say, if you want to pause the episode real quick because you don't know what I'm talking about, go to the episode notes, show notes. I have a link to the trailer. Watch the trailer, then come back so you can have a little bit of a gist, Next, the synopsis. It says, Santa's clumsy grandson, Arthur, gets put on a mission with Saint Nick's father to give out a present they misplaced to a young girl in less than 2 hours. I've never seen this before. I was never really interested in this because of the Arthur character. He is a very, let's say, cliche designed character. I barely remember the trailer. I don't think this came out in theaters, but it's quite possible it did. I don't remember. I just never felt compelled to check it out. It was on Netflix for a long time. And I remember thinking, oh, maybe I should watch this because, it's right here on Netflix. And I never did. My first impression of Arthur Christmas was that it looked just like a regular CG 3D animated feature. And honestly, it looked pretty boring by the trailer. So yes, that's why I was never interested. This looks boring. I don't even remember the trailer, but I was like, I'll pass. After watching it, I still felt that there were some boring aspects of it, which I'll get into, but it ended up being more entertaining than I expected, and I did appreciate that because, anywho, I just did appreciate it being more. Some of the things that I have watched that were new to me, you just don't know what to expect, and you're not a child, so how much entertainment value these things actually have, or has, changes because I'm not 8 or 10 years old or 4 or something like that, I'm just not. So I'm watching this as an adult, and I'm just like, okay, would 8-year-old Monique like this or no? I don't know. Does it hold up? So I watched this 8 years after its initial release, and like I said, I did enjoy it. I didn't think it was bad, It wasn't underwhelming in terms of the actual experience of watching the film. I most definitely think that it will continue to stand the test of time because it has some futuristic elements to it. Wow, I forgot to take note of the characters. So can't believe I missed that one. The characters, you have Arthur, and it says here that Arthur is Santa's grandson, and he's on a mission with Saint Nick's father. And this is all confusing to me because I thought Saint Nick was Arthur's father. That's how it comes off in the movie, and the grandpa is Santa, and basically everyone is Santa, basically. So yes, so you have Arthur, who's a very naive, how old is he supposed to be? Maybe 18-year-old or something, 17-year-old? Yeah, something like that. He's very naive, and he loves the spirit of Christmas, and he loves everything about Christmas, and he's very passionate about the children's letters to Santa Claus and making sure that everyone gets their gift, and they just have the best Christmas ever. And he has an older brother, I can't remember his name, that is built all the future techie stuff. the older brother is the reason why Santa is like out with the old, in with the new. And they have like all these tracking systems, and Santa's sleigh is like a spaceship, and their residence in the North Pole is like a mission tower, like a control tower. Like think like Avengers. It's like that kind of setup, but with like elves, Santa Claus, Mrs. Santa Claus father, and Santa Claus adult children. There's Mrs. Claus, which for a long time they made her seem just very like stereotypical woman in the home, like housewife. And then we get to see a bit more of her personality towards the end of the film. There is Santa Claus, Santa Claus in this film, which I'm jumping around a little bit, is like a generational thing. Like Santa Claus has a kid, they become the next Santa Claus, has a kid, they become the next Santa Claus type of thing. So we're talking about Grandpa Santa Claus. He's one that's, very, very stuck to the traditions and the old ways, and he is disgusted. Okay, he's disgusted by all this technology happening with Santa Claus Jr., like his grandson, Santa Claus. Like, oh, so confusing. So then who are we missing? Oh, the current Santa Claus. He's the one that he became, like, he lost his voice, so he became somewhat of like a pushover to his son, and like whatever his son with all the technology says goes, and he just like has like no backbone. And then there's like a couple elves that are really like standout characters. And I'll just talk about the elves as a whole. Like, they're kind of visualized or depicted as spies to a certain extent. Santa Claus, the current Santa Claus, is who we all know, right? But the elves are the one that actually get the job done of delivering the presents. And they have like, they're like strapped up with like equipment and stuff like that. They're coming down from the spaceship on wires, and they're doing all these different like tricks and tumbles and all sorts of stuff to get these presents delivered, and making sure no toys go off and all sorts of things. I really enjoyed the elves. As far as visual style, so this film was made by Sony Pictures Animation. They made Surf's Up, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and Hotel Transylvania. And Sony Pictures made this in I'll say combination, but they made this with Aardman Animation. So Aardman Animation did Chicken Run, Wallace and Gromit, and Shaun of the Sheep, right? So these two studios came together to make this movie. And what is interesting is that, Sony Pictures Sony Pictures has not really come up with a studio style that really make a distinct studio style. That's what I want to say. They haven't come up with that. So I named Surf's Up, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and Hotel Transylvania, and they all are significantly different from one another, each film. And Aardman Animation, those three, Chicken Run, Wallace and Gromit, Shaun of the Sheep, they're all similar stylistically wise, but they're a greater contrast to what Sony Pictures has done, like their track record. So for these studios who have two separate styles, not completely polarizing, and different approaches to making animation coming together, I was disappointed by the visuals for sure. I would have expected way more from these studios by coming together in terms of their visual style and their character design. Arthur looked very similar to Jesper from Klaus, and Walter from the upcoming film Spies in Disguise. Also, he looked like Linguini from Ratatouille, and like, I'm sure we can just really start naming off more characters. I'm just saying those three. There's like brown-haired, really slim white character with like a rosy nose, like their noses are always like red, and their cheeks sometimes are like blush. And they're like, all these characters are like dorky, like fumbling, like they trip over themselves and like all, just like all sorts of that stuff. And they're like oddballs all the time. We're so used to seeing characters like that in animation. It is quite annoying. So I know that's part of the reason why I was turned off from this originally. So the design overall, I should say, were the very unsatisfying because of the eyes. If you go back and look at the trailer, they all have like these beady eyes. It's so strange because they're small, but they have big pupils, and it's like they could have the character designs themselves have pretty okay silhouettes, you know what I'm saying? Like the shape of the characters, they're tall, they're skinny, they have broad shoulders, like, you know, narrow legs. Or Santa Claus and like Mrs. Claus are kind of like peers. Grandpa Santa, he's like hunched. The elves have like a lot of angles to them, like they have the hat that's pointy, then their cheeks kind of come out, and then their body is slim again. So everyone like looks okay in terms of their physique or whatever. But then we come to their eyes when you're looking at their face, and it's like, why didn't you add some of the creativity, I guess, that you had in exploring the different body shapes and sizes in the film to the eyes? Like, why does everybody have these beady eyes? Like, I don't know. It was strange. And it just seemed like they just stopped the character design like at the eyes. As far as the animation style, I thought that it was pretty rigid. It's not comparable to anything either studio has made, and I found that disappointing. It's like, I don't know why the animation is just so stiff. Like Chicken Run, Wallace and Gromit are classic, I'm saying classic animated like movies, you know, that they're pivotal in at least technology wise, and they were very fun movies. Wallace and Gromit has how many like sequels and diversions and whatever of them, and why is it that a lot, not too much, but like a lot of the fun of animation, like think again Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs or Hotel Transylvania, a lot of that was lost when it came to Arthur Christmas. And I'm like, we're talking about Santa, so it's not like this thing is like real, that they have to stick to it, everything moving and operating like humans, because again, we have Santa and we have elves and we have flying reindeer. You don't have to stick to the rules of the real world, and the animation was just super stiff for me in that. As far as storytelling, I thought it was a pretty decent imaging of Santa. As I said before, it's a family which, like, coincidentally, like, everyone seems to have at least one son. There are no girls besides Mrs. Claus in the family. And the sons, you know, become Santa Claus and one son, what have you, unless someone says that they don't want to. I guess maybe another son could be. Santa's sleigh is actually a spaceship. And, like, I'm telling you, like, the spaceship, I'm saying again, it was like the Avengers spaceship because it also goes invisible, you know, so it's not spotted. And, like, so did the Avengers, like, ship or whatever. And then the mission control, which was pretty cool. So you can think of like Hidden Figures, like, you know what a mission control is, but just operated by a whole bunch of elves, and everyone has like their own jobs and stuff like that. I think the first act of the film did a really good job of setting up like the way things work in this Santa Claus world, and like the rules and the structure, and like saying, well, this is kind of why this person is like this, and this is how this person behaves because of this. The only person, which is fine that we didn't actually understand how they came to be this way to a certain extent, was that older brother that was like so into technology. It's like, why was he so against the old ways, you know? It is what it is. My final thoughts is this film was just good enough. I feel like with the high-tech gadgets and like the whole kind of like spy element to it, that it will definitely gain a child's interest, and it isn't boring to watch, so I'm pretty sure they will watch the whole thing. I feel like as an adult, I can't really imagine you falling asleep watching this unless you're already tired. But I feel like the eyes, now that I pointed out, like you probably won't be able to unsee it, but the eyes just kept bothering me every time they did close-ups. I feel like if you're an adult with a child or around children, you might end up watching the whole movie with them. That's what I'm saying. I'll just keep going. I think that if Arthur Christmas was playing somewhere, I would probably watch it. I cannot see myself being like, you know what I'd like to watch right now? Arthur Christmas. That probably will never happen. But if it happens to be on, like, you know, if I'm channel surfing, I'm like, oh, Arthur Christmas. Yeah, I'll put that on in the background. You know, like, that's fine. I feel more inclined to watch this than some of the other stuff. Lastly, rating system. I had to think pretty hard about this. And, I think I'm going to give this 2.5 presents. I was thinking 3. Yeah, no. I have to say 2.5. I feel like 2 is very harsh for this because it's not that bad. But I don't see myself really watching this again willingly. So I think a 2.5 is what I'm giving Arthur Christmas. What do you think? No, seriously, go and watch the trailer and let me know if between this episode and the trailer you would actually go check this out. I should share how I watched this. So it's no longer on Netflix. That's been another thing that maybe I'll get into later. Like, trying to find some of the stuff that I said I was going to watch has been like, wow. I have Amazon Prime, and if you, like me, also have Amazon Prime that you paid with your own money, and they're not sponsoring this podcast episode. It's free on Amazon Prime, so you can watch it. But anywho, yeah, let me know if from watching the trailer, again, the link is in the show notes, and from this episode, if you're interested in watching Arthur Christmas. Or if you have watched Arthur Christmas, what do you think? Tweet me, say something on Instagram. I will be sharing the commentary that I come across on social media. Don't forget to use the hashtag SimplyRoboticsPod. Oh, I didn't spell Simply Robotics in the beginning of the episode, so let me tell y'all. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Simply Robotics, SimplyRoboti. I have my website, simplyrobotics.com. If you are listening on your iPhone, it should have come with a purple podcast app. If you are not the type to delete the apps that come with your phone, you should still have it. Go in there. It's okay if you don't subscribe. It's totally fine if you listen via another app, but just go to the app. Go to Simply Robotics, the podcast. You're going to see 5 stars. What you want to do is hit the 5th star so that they all fill in and they all will be purple. And then you've done your good deed for the day. And I will appreciate you and love you forever. Alright, next episode, what do you think it will be? Surprise, surprise. Okay, thank you for listening, and I'll be back soon. Bye.
Happy Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa to you.